organic Instagram growth. This is step 3 of 3. I know Instagram can be very confusing and overwhelming, but this is what you need to know. Step number 1, pick your niche. You've done that. Step number 2, optimize your profile so that when people are landing on your page, when they're discovering you, when they're seeing your content for the first time, they know right away, okay, this is why I should follow her. Oh, okay, this guy is the guy who does this thing, so that's why I'm gonna follow him. Now, we're gonna move on to step 3, which is to actually post. Now, I add an asterisk after the word post because it's not as simple as just posting whatever you want. We're going to be posting to our feed. I briefly mentioned this in the first lesson, but your Instagram stories only reach the people who already follow you. Your Instagram stories don't reach new people. And so if they don't reach new people, they can't help you grow. Usually they're responsible for less than 1% of your growth. So we're gonna post to our feed, and we're gonna post to our feed with a strategy, of course. We have to use a strategy that is effective. There are things that are more or less effective, things that are outdated and things that are working right now. Let's talk about them. The growth strategies that we have found to be most effective are magic hashtags, dancing, and looking really pretty. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't, if you wrote that down, scribble that one out of your notes. That's not true. But that's a very common misconception of Instagram and really of social media as a whole, that you need to dance. You need to, edit your photos and get lip filler and look super pretty. That you need some magic list of hashtags. Those things don't make that big of a difference. And in many cases, those things can turn people away. Because in many cases, those things are inauthentic and your audience will see right through them and they won't engage. Those things might have worked in 2014, 2015, but they don't work nowadays. So let's talk about the things that actually do work. And I think hopefully these things should be encouraging for you to hear because they don't require a trip to your local plastic surgeon or getting a new dance choreographer. The growth strategies that we see as most effective for organically growing on Instagram today are number 1, share-worthy content. I'm gonna go through each of these in depth, at length, so that you fully understand not just what I mean, but how do you actually accomplish them. So number 1, share-worthy content. Number 2, hyper consistency. You've heard it everywhere, consistency is king. We're gonna talk about hyper consistency and why it matters on Instagram. Not just why it matters, but also how do you achieve it? How do you actually get to hyper consistency without spending 15 million hours a day on Instagram? And then number 3, boosting engagement. At the end of the day, that's what the algorithms want. The algorithms want more people engaging with your posts. When more people engage, more people will be shown your posts. And when more people are shown them, well then obviously even more people are going to engage. So we're gonna talk about that as well. Let's start with that first one, share-worthy content. Why share-worthy content? Why not save-worthy or view-worthy or like-worthy content? Why specifically shares? Well, because on average on Instagram, 1 share equates to 400 additional views. Because think about, what is a share? A share is a recommendation. A share is one person taking your video and sending it to their friends, sending it in their group chat, sending it to their spouse or their partner or their BFF, sending it to their coworker, their colleague, sending it to their own Instagram stories so that everyone who follows them is now seeing what you created. On average, 1 share equals 400 additional views. So if you feel like your views have gone down, or maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're starting over and you feel like you need to bring the views up, shares are the secret to doing so. In fact, Instagram CEO himself even recently confirmed that shares are the top dog. Shares are the best way to grow according to the man who runs and creates Instagram. Shares are the best form of engagement, and it makes sense why. It also makes sense if we think about Instagram as what it is, which is a business. We at Instagram wants people to spend more time on Instagram, right? Instagram, the business, wants people to be more engaged with Instagram. So when you like a post, no one else really knows. It doesn't bring anyone else to Instagram. It doesn't engage anyone else with Instagram. It means nothing for anyone else in their time spent on Instagram. A comment, same thing. It might mean that you are spending a little bit more time commenting, But no one new is coming to Instagram, no one new is watching this video because of your comment. Same with a save. A save is usually just going into a folder that you're never going to see again. Maybe you'll revisit it a few weeks later, but it's not bringing new people to Instagram. Shares are bringing new eyeballs to that post, bringing new eyeballs to that reel, bringing more attention back to or sticking with Instagram. So Instagram wants to help the creators who are getting the most shares. Now, easier said than done, right? Let's talk about what is share-worthy. What kind of content, on average, gets the most shares? What kind of content is actually getting spread around and passed from person to person? What kind of content is share-worthy? Number one, we see emotional and inspirational content as very share-worthy. The type of stuff that really pulls at our heartstrings. Maybe it makes us really mad or it makes us really happy. It's really funny. Those sorts of things are highly share-worthy. Typically, when I think of emotional or inspirational content, I think of powerful quotes, one-liners. I think of motivational reminders that are maybe said in a unique way. Those are highly share-worthy. The second kind of content that is highly share-worthy is relatable or entertaining content. For this, I specifically think of meme content. Memes are just like little jokes, little static images or short little clips from your favorite movie or TV show that when you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so me and my dog. Oh my gosh, this is so me and my wife. Oh my gosh, dude, this is so you. This reminds me so much of you. Relatable content, specifically content that is relatable and entertaining and funny, that is highly share-worthy. Unfortunately for you, that kind of content is relatively easy to create. There are millions of meme accounts on Instagram that are posting hundreds of memes every single day. The internet is never short of relatable humor. Your challenge is just to figure out how you can relate this joke, this meme, this pop culture reference, this moment in time to your own niche. That's the key, because remember, all of our feed posts are going to be related to our niche. So let's say there is a famous photo of Michael Jordan crying at his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, and you want to use that meme. You want to use that photo of Michael Jordan because it's popular, it's funny, it's relatable. You can't just post the photo of Michael Jordan. You can't say, when I'm at my NBA Hall of Fame induction ceremony speech and I start crying. No one's going to relate to that, and that probably has nothing to do with your niche. You need to instead figure out what's something in your niche, in your area, in your industry that would make you get really worked up, something that would really make you cry. Maybe for me, it's when my reel gets more than 10 views, or when I get more than 5 likes on my post. And it's relatable, it's funny, it's making light of the dramatics of someone crying in the meme. So relatable or entertaining content, highly share-worthy. Number 3, controversial or thought-provoking content. This one is arguably the most share-worthy of all, but it's also the one that you need to be the most careful with. Because in no way am I telling you to intentionally be controversial or to intentionally make people mad and get canceled and say horrible things. I would never tell you to do that. However, there likely are some things in your industry or in your niche that you believe in that are maybe unpopular. Or maybe there's like a divisive topic in your industry. Again, I keep going back to this. In your industry, in your niche. We're not talking about controversial things in politics if politics aren't your niche. You're not talking about a controversial ending to a football game if football isn't your niche. You're talking about controversial or unpopular opinions in your own niche, your thought-provoking content that relates to your own niche or industry. And here's what happens when you post about that content. As long as it's related to your niche, the majority of your audience is going to respond very positively. They're going to agree. They're going to comment how much they agree. They're going to be so glad that someone like you finally said it. They've been thinking it, but someone, you, has finally made a post about it. You finally said it out loud. That is why they share it. Because they don't want to say it themselves, but they want to make sure that other people know it. They want to make sure that people know that that's what they believe. And so when you post about that content, when you give a voice to that topic, people in your audience will share it at a very high rate. Now, of course, there will be a small section of your audience who disagrees. Some of those people will be very vocal with their disagreement. They're going to comment and tell you how you're so wrong and how they disagree and this and that, and they're going to be so offended. Those people who are commenting are ultimately giving you better engagement. They're increasing your odds that even more people see this post. Some people might even unfollow you. And I would argue that that's a good thing because you're not for everyone. You're not going to be liked by everyone. You can't be everyone's cup of tea. When your content is just vanilla, middle of the road, plain, basic, generic, and you never take a stand, you never talk about the things that you're passionate about or the things that you believe in, then your audience is going to be the same way. Your followers are going to be bland, your comments are going to be generic, your community is going to feel lukewarm at best. But when you're talking about the things that relate to your niche that you believe in, the things that are maybe controversial or unpopular, that empowers your audience and it allows people who disagree to exit. It allows those people who aren't right for you anyways, who were never probably going to become customers anyways, to hit that unfollow button and see you later. And that's totally fine. You're not for everyone, but fortunately for you, there's enough people on Instagram to go around. There's enough people on Instagram that you could have millions of people unfollow you and you could still have hundreds of millions of real followers and fans. So that's the third kind of content that is highly share-worthy. The fourth kind of content that we see as highly share-worthy is timely or trending topics. This oftentimes is memes, but maybe there is pop culture that relates to your niche. For me, it's things like Instagram releasing a new feature. That might not be headline news on, TV, but that's headline news in my niche. Maybe there is a popular influencer in your niche who made a bold statement or got in trouble or came out with some new product or had some breaking news related to them, and you can report on that in your own niche. Trending and timely topics also includes pop culture references. I think the biggest pop culture moment every year, at least here in the US, is the Super Bowl, right? Think of how many memes come out of the Super Bowl. Half of the Super Bowl is just seeing what memes and what jokes people are going to pull out of it. The halftime show of the Super Bowl usually supplies us with at least a half dozen memes every single year. Those are timely, they're trending, they're relating to what everyone is thinking about or what everyone is watching. And so if you can find a way to relate those pop culture moments, those timely and trending topics, or even breaking news to your niche, it's highly share-worthy and it's a great way to get more views on your Instagram. So again, that was step number 1 for growth on Instagram in 2024 and heading into 2025. Share-worthy content. Really, what share-worthy content boils down to is content quality. The quality of your posts. Not posting just to post, not posting terrible, crappy posts. Share-worthy content, ultimately, is quality. Now, let's talk about quantity. Hyper-consistency, the other side of the coin. Because quality without quantity is not going to lead to growth, and quantity without quality is not going to lead to very much growth either. So let's talk about hyper-consistency. And let me start by showing you a graph. So for all of you numbers people, this graph is showing you the average growth rate on Instagram, how much people are growing in terms of followers, and the numbers at the bottom are how many posts they're making per week, all the way from 0 posts per week, all the way up to 24 posts per week. And again, these are feed posts. This does not include stories, because stories don't help you grow. There it is. Those are the numbers. And I don't need to draw this line because you're a smart person already, but I will anyways. It goes up and to the right. It goes up and to the right. My goal for you is at least 1 per day. Now, there is no universal strategy here. There is no universal frequency that is guaranteed to work for every single person. But we can look at these numbers and figure out that it is true that the more you post, the more you grow. Instagram's CEO has confirmed this himself. He has recently come out and said that they did an internal study at Instagram and they found that there is essentially a direct correlation between post rate and growth rate. The accounts that are posting the most are also the accounts that are growing the most. So as a minimum for you, I want you to strive for at least 1 post a day. That sounds good on paper. The math is mathing, but how do you actually post more? because I can feel it through the screen right now that your anxiety level is high. I could cut it with a knife. How do you actually post more? How is it possible to post twice a day and run a business and be a parent and have your other business on the side and your other side hustle and still be a normal human being who actually eats 3 meals a day? How is that even possible? How do you actually post more? Let's talk about it. Number one, I want you to remember the story of the tortoise and the hare. For those of you who don't know it, I'll summarize it. What can you sustain? Slow and steady wins the race. So I know I just told you the more you post, the more you grow. And I know I just told you that my goal for you is 1 post per day. But forget all of that. Instead, I want you to look yourself in the mirror and be real about what can you sustain. What can you sustain in this season of life, in this current period that you're in this current season of business that you're in? What are your goals in this current season? Is your goal just, hey, I want to maintain my Instagram while I build my course. I want to keep my Instagram the same while I work on my mastermind. Or maybe you're like, hey, I got a launch coming up in a couple weeks or a couple months, and I need growth. I need new followers in the door. I need more eyeballs on my stuff. That's going to affect what you're going to output. Your goals are going to affect how much you're going to be posting. Most importantly, though, what can you uniquely sustain in this current season of life or business? Figure that out. Maybe it's 3 times a week. Maybe it is once a day. Maybe it's 3 times a day. Figure that out. And then here's the key. Don't just stay where you're comfortable. Don't just stay doing what you know you can do. Don't just stick with what you can sustain. Challenge yourself to do a little bit more. Challenge yourself to push just a little bit further outside of your comfort zone, because on Instagram and in life, that's where growth comes from, right? We grow, we have success, we achieve our dreams, not by doing what we're comfortable, not by just sticking with what we can sustain, but by pushing ourselves a little bit more. Give me 1 more rep. Give me 1 more time, 1 more post. Give me 1 more % of effort, a little bit further. In fact, that's where my rapid growth on Instagram began. Rewind back to 2021, I had been Instagram coaching for about 4 or 5 years at that point, and I had been slow and steady building my following because I was slow and steady posting what I could sustain, which for me back then was about 1 post a day. Sometimes I would take weekends off. But then I challenged myself to push past my comfort zone, push past just 1 post a day, and I upped it to 2 posts a day. Just an increase from 1 post a day to 2 posts a day. Specifically, I was going to be posting 1 reel per day and 1 extra post. Maybe it was a second reel, maybe it was a photo, maybe it was a carousel. 1 reel and 1 other post. By the end of that month, I had crossed 100,000 followers. Now today, I've crossed 700,000 followers, and I've continued to grow and continued to push myself every single day to improve my content just a little bit. Post a little bit more. Improve my captions a little bit more. Those little improvements, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, that's where growth is going to come from. So that's the first strategy to actually posting more. The second strategy to actually posting more, and I need to get real with you for a second, stop overanalyzing your content. Stop trying to make perfect posts. Perfect posts are not real. Perfect posts are not genuine. Perfect posts are not possible. I believe that burnout on Instagram is not the result of posting too much or even trying to post too much. I believe that the vast majority of the time, burnout on Instagram comes from trying to make perfect posts. It comes from perfect post paralysis, as I like to call it, where you're spending hours and hours refining and tweaking and editing and re-recording and scripting and doing all of these things to make your post perfect. You're researching the perfect list of hashtags, you're adding your filters, you're adding your text, and then you post it, and it ends up not performing very well. It ends up being your worst post. The post that you spent the most time editing is the one that ends up doing the worst. I hear that from people every single day. So that should be proof to all of us that we need to stop overthinking our content. Start creating content that is more unfinished, unpolished, raw, rough around the edges. I myself am an Instagram expert. I do this stuff for a living. And I don't think I can make it more than 24 hours without having a mistake in one of my posts. It might not be a mistake you notice, but it might be a typo. It might be an incorrect cut or a bad edit or something that's misaligned. I can't go through 24 hours without an imperfect post, but I don't care. I've learned to let go of the unrealistic ideals of perfection. It's not possible on social media, and your followers don't want that. No one goes on social media saying, well, I hope I see some more fake Photoshop perfected lives today. We go on social media looking for what's real, looking for real people who are going to be our coach or our mentor or the guide through our mastermind. That is why we go on social media, to connect with real people. And so I encourage you to stop overanalyzing, stop trying to perfect your posts, and just press post. Then once you take action and you press post, you'll be able to look back and be like, yeah, I could have fixed that one thing. So for my next post, I'm going to make one minor tweak. But at least you've already posted it. An imperfect post that's actually posted is always going to beat a perfect post that was never posted, because a perfect post doesn't exist to begin with. So just press post. I give you permission. I give you encouragement to let go of that perfection and just press post. That is one of the ways that you can increase your quantity and post more. Now, the third step to posting more is scheduling your posts. And one of the worst pieces of misinformation that is spread across Instagram is that scheduling your posts will hurt your content. That's not true. That's a myth that's been disproven many times. Unfortunately for you, in your Mastermind Business Hub, you have the ability to schedule posts right there, so you don't have to worry about it. When you schedule posts, you can create them in advance, which is known as batching your content. So then you don't have to wake up every single day stressed about, what am I going to post today? Do I have time to create it? Do I have time to edit it? Do I have time to write the caption? You can strategically plan that out in advance, like a business owner, and schedule time to create your content. You can schedule it in the Mastermind Business Hub, and then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about being on your phone all the time to create, edit, and actually post these posts. And then my fourth strategy, and this is probably the biggest difference maker of them all when it comes to how do you actually post more. This is my biggest insider secret for posting more. I now post 2, 3, even up to 4 times per day, every single day, but I don't spend more than 45 minutes per day on Instagram. How is this possible? How is it possible that I do that without running out of ideas? That means I'm making about 1,000 posts a year. How do I have 1,000 fresh new ideas a year? I don't. Strategy number 4 is what I like to call upcycling. Upcycling your content. And I define upcycling as reposting or recreating your content every 90 days. Once it's been 3 months, it's time to look back at the content that you've shared already and figure out, can you immediately repost it or can you recreate it? Maybe you're going to rework the caption a little bit. Maybe you're going to add a new hook. Maybe you're going to swap out the call to action at the end. Maybe you're going to add a new song in the background. You're going to make a minor tweak, but really you're just reposting the same content. Now, for those of you who have never done this before or never knew about this strategy, this might be mind-blowing, but 80%, 8 out of 10 of my posts are upcycled. 80% of my posts are either reposted, something that I posted before, and I'm now just directly posting again, or something that I am slightly recreating. Maybe it's the same tips, I'm just sharing them in a new format, the same ideas or story or strategy, and I'm just presenting it in a slightly different way than I did in the past. Every 90 days. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you rarely, if ever, need to make new content because you have so much content from the past. Now, of course, if you're just getting started day one, you're not going to be able to pull from as much content from the past because you don't have a past of content. But don't worry, before you know it, you're going to have old posts that you're able to repost. I will quickly answer some very frequently asked questions about this topic. Number 1, you don't need to announce that it's a repost because people don't care. They don't know. You don't need to remind them that you posted it before. Number 2, speaking of they don't know, most people are not going to know because most people aren't seeing your posts anyways, right? A lot of people tell me every single day on Instagram, Brock, no one's seeing my posts. I say, great, well then repost them. Post them again. If no one saw it the first time, you might as well post it a second time. the vast majority of your followers will not see everything you post. And the small group who does see it, they won't remember it. If they do, if they are a part of that very elite group, that 1%, that 0.1% who does remember the post, they probably remember it because it was that good. They probably remember it because the first time you posted it, they saved it, they shared it, they liked it, they laughed, they commented, they sent it to a friend. It was that good. But they saved it, and they probably haven't checked their saves since then. They probably forgot about this post. And now they're seeing it again. They're like, yes, I forgot about this lesson. I forgot about this tip that he gave. I forgot about that story that she told. I forgot about that joke. So they're going to enjoy it a second time. Your followers are missing the majority of your content, so you're missing out by not posting it again. Give it another opportunity to have success. In fact, we did a test. In our own business, we have about 6 different internal social media accounts, not just the accounts we manage, but within our own actual hub, 6 different accounts. And we did a test for 1 week, only upcycling our content, only reposting and recreating for an entire week, nothing new for an entire week. And here were the results. New followers increased by 244%. Reach increased by 189%. Engagement increased by 178%. All of those things went up. My favorite stat, though, is time spent creating 0 minutes. You could sit back on the beach, kick back and relax. You could work on other areas of your business. You could spend more time being present with your family and your friends and your loved ones. You can do the things that are actually going to make a substantial difference to your bottom line or to your life, because you don't have to worry about creating your posts. If you can use this strategy, you have essentially just increased your output by 80% without having to do hardly any work. It's extremely effective, and it's one of the key strategies for hyper-consistency. And again, hyper-consistency is my second of 3 strategies that we see as most effective for growing on Instagram in 2024 and heading into 2025. Hyper-consistency. So those are the first 2 strategies of how you actually grow on Instagram. We've talked about the quality component and the quantity component. In just a second, we're going to talk about how you actually increase engagement, because maybe you feel like, Brock, my posts are good enough. I'm posting as much as I can sustain, but I'm just not getting the views and engagement. We're going to talk about that in just a second.